Hi guys, and welcome to FORGE WRIGHT. Glad you could join me. And welcome also to the third video in the series on making hammer making tools. First video on the list was a hammer eye punch, which we produced. This is the finished product there. If you haven't seen that video, I recommend you go back and have a look at the first of the series. So got that one done. And second video was on making the hammer eye drift. That hasn't been hardened. None of these tools have been hardened and tempered yet. I figure I'll do them all at the same time. And so that brings us on to video 3, which I will be making a bolster to protect the cheeks of the hammer when I'm drifting the eye through and forging out the cheeks. So I'm going to be making that out of a piece of forklift tine, as I did with these tools here. That will be following the same the system as I saw on Daniel Moss's channel. Trust me, I'm a blacksmith. He has produced a lovely video there where he made a bolster and drift and excuse me, and demonstrated how to use those two tools together to form up the shape of your hammer without damaging the cheeks of the hammer. So I'll be cutting a piece of 100mm wide forklift tine, 40mm thick, and I'll be cutting off a piece around about 60 or 70mm in length. And I'll get that cut and we'll put it in the forge and see if we can start putting a depression in it. I'll be using a 50mm section of round bar. It's a stainless steel bar that I picked up secondhand shop, and we will see if we can get a decent depression in it and then form the bulges on the sides to accept the fullers in the hammer between the cheeks and the hammer head on both sides. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, well, after some grinding that I didn't put you through the pain of watching, I've cut my piece off the end of my forklift tine. Now what I'm going to do is use this piece of 50mm stainless steel bar, and I'm going to, once heated, put the bar on top of there, hit down on that and make a depression in here which will accept the cheek of the hammer. Then I'll drill and drift a hole through the center to accept the drift. So I'll just get a 2mm punch, put a mark in the edge of that one. Okay, got the fire roaring, got the piece in. I think it's come up to heat. Now my tricky bit is to try and see if I can get this 50mm or 2-inch steel bar to make a depression in there that will accept the cheeks of the hammer. Got to try and hold it down. So I'm going to attempt to use this just to secure it a little bit while I hit it, keep it stable. I think I will use my 3kg hammer. Righto, that's hot. Wish I had a longer bar. Just making sure I'm keeping it up out of the oxidizing area of the fire. You tend to get that loose coals down the bottom, and the heavy material can just drop down in there, and I don't want it getting too much oxygen. So I keep trying to bring it up and let some of those coals fall in. This was never going to be a quick process. It's a big chunk of steel to put a big trench in. But I'm not too disappointed in the pace I'm getting it moving at. Could be worse. Keep putting it back in, getting it hot again. I'm going to use this ball peen as a bit of a guide as to how deep I need to get my groove. Oh yeah, she's over 10. That's about 12 mil deep at the moment. I might go a bit deeper than that. One of my problems is I don't have a hammerhead that I can use to fit into it. So I'm going to make it what I think is right and adapt it later if need be. It's not looking too bad. I definitely made it too long because I've got to I'm going to have to round out these edges, so I might even have to cut them off. Probably only need to measure out about from the bottom of the where am I measuring from? Yeah, probably out to about there. So I'm probably going to need to cut 15 mil off them. Okay, so I've got it cleaned up a little bit. It is, yep, 74. Gives me the middle there. And it's 62 to 3, so we'll go 31 and a half. Okay, so the situation is, I've drilled a hole, but I've only got a 13mm drill, and this is wider than 13mm. So I can't just put my drift in it and start drifting my hole. This is also wider than 13mm, but only by a very small amount. 14, maybe a tad more. So I'm going to punch the hole through with this, and then I can start drifting that once it gets to the right thickness. The reason that didn't go through is because of the mushrooming on the end there, because I hadn't hardened the tool. Right, well, there you have that one. We have a finished product here. Turned out good. A lot of forging. It's tough stuff, this forklift tine, in large chunks like this, but I believe it's come out effective. There's a few minor issues with it. I initially had it way too big, and then when I cut it off, I cut off too much, so I'd like to have left another 5mm or so to give myself more of a rounding area on the sides here, but that's not what it's for. It's to protect the cheek of the hammer. This hammer isn't exactly the shape that I want, but it's a guide. So I believe that sits in there pretty neatly and will work effectively to protect the bottoms of the cheeks when I'm knocking the drift through, if I have to re-drift it after forging out the cheeks a little bit. So it's come up nice and clean, good surfaces. I ended up grinding a little bit more out of the bottom of here because I wasn't happy with the way there was a bit of pitting in there. It still looks forged because there's some pitting in the sides here and on the ends, which quite frankly doesn't worry me in the slightest. The only important part of this tool is this bit in here, the bit that runs through there, and as long as the hole that runs through it is big enough to fit my drift. Sorry for moving the camera in the wrong direction, I always get that mixed up. And that's my hammer eye punch, which we made originally. So that's only designed to go into, you know, possibly about that area there. So that punches the hole through quite effectively. Then, so that was tool number one, video number one. Then we made the hammer eye drift, which the main thing is that this will go through there, and it does. Sits on the anvil nice and flat, so there's no rocking when I go to hit it. So I'm happy with that. Well, it won't actually sit on the anvil, obviously, it'll sit on the drift block, but there we have the finished product. Now that that's finished, that's 3 tools down, and next on the list is a decent set of tongs. So I need to make 2 sets of tongs. Firstly, I need to make a set of tongs that can hold 40mm stock, pulling it in and out of the fire and getting it into position to be able to initially start squaring it up. As I've explained, I think in a previous video, I'm going to be using 50mm by 40mm. The forklift tine that I'm using is 100mm wide and 40mm thick. If I use 40mm by 40mm, the hammer's going to come out slightly underweight for what I would like, given that I'm going to lose some to scale and grinding, and I'd like it to be a bit heavier than that, so I'm going to go with 40 by 50, and then I'm going to forge down the 50 to 45, so I should end up with about 45 by 45 if I can square it up evenly. Hopefully I can. And the 45 by 45 should give me a decent sized hammer. And then I will also need a pickup tongs, a set of hammer pickup tongs. So 2 sets of tongs to make, and then I'll move on to the next tool in the list, which I won't go into yet. But thank you very much for watching Forge Right. I hope you enjoyed the video and it wasn't too long and laborious for you. If you did like it, hit the like button. If you like the channel, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.